All right, guys, today we are looking ahead at week 4. We're going to be diving into some news and notes, giving you a Thursday night preview. And of course, we're going to be talking about our hit it's and quit it's, baby. Don't forget to follow, like, share, subscribe across all social media platforms. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the show. This is the Frankly Fantasy Football Podcast. We are your hosts, Frankie and Johnny. Welcome in, Frankie. Rough week, brother. Crazy week. I told everyone, like Kyle Brandt said, week 1 is a liar. Week 2, we said she was a crazy bitch, needed to be locked up in a room for a while till she cooled down. Week 3, dude, week 3 is hold my beer week. What in the hell is that?
I mean, John, I don't think anybody could have prepared anybody for the way the NFL landscape has gone this year so far, how fantasy has turned out, let alone Sam Darnold being a top 5 quarterback at this point in time. Actually, I think he's number 2 or 3. I mean, so yes, man, hold my beer is a perfect way to sum up what the fuck is going on.
Well, that's what Andy Dalton said. He's like, oh, yeah, he's probably drinking it on the sideline. He's like, oh, yeah, hold my beer. I'll go in right now and throw 303 touchdowns. Why not? Are you kidding me with that shit, man? I mean, it's so much fun. It's the best sport there is because of this, because of each year, the things changing and just so many goddamn variables that make it so difficult to predict. That makes it fun. It makes our jobs fucking impossible. I'll tell you that right now. It's so difficult, you guys. You look at all of the variables lined up, everything. This guy is guaranteed to have an amazing, anything can happen. Any given Sunday. Welcome to the NFL, man.
That's right, man.
Yeah. Well, today, guys, we're going to get everybody ready for week 4. We're rolling right through the season here. Week 4 coming up. We've got news and notes. We're going to talk about some takeaways from week 3, a couple of high, 30,000 foot level views, a couple things here. We got news and notes. Then we're going to get into our Thursday night football preview. And then we've got our hit it's and quit it's, our starts of the week. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Please make sure you're following us on social media, TikTok now, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Frankly Fantasy Football. And don't forget, guys, Fridays with Frankie. Frankie puts out a video on social media. It's a 1-minute clip. It's the top 5 things you need to know before the weekend. We record these on Tuesdays, drop them on Wednesdays. Obviously, there's a lot of news and a lot of things that happens during the week in practice. Frankie's with Fridays with Frankie.
Hey.
We always fuck that name. Fridays with Frankie will give you the top 5 things you need to know going in. So check that out, guys. All right, Frankie, let's get into some takeaways here. Week 3, like I said, hold my beer week. Interesting things here. First of all, Malik Nabers. Holy shit. Legit,
dude. Praise.
Malik Nabers is legit, man. He's the wide receiver 1 in half PPR and PPR currently. 8 for 12, 78, 2 touchdowns. Past 2 weeks, this dude has shown up, man. Looks great. And the best part about it is Daniel Jones looks competent. Looks like he can actually get him the ball. He's hyper-focused and hyper-targeting him. Love it, man.
Definitely love it. John, Malik Nabers might save Danny Dimes' job. Like, I honestly believe that is a real possibility to some degree that he could save Danny Dimes' job. I mean, dude, he comes in. I know we're going to talk Thursday night. They come in and do a little upset alert on some Dallas Cowgirls over there. Look out, man. 2-2 Giants are a lot different than 1-3.
That's right. Shout out to our buddy Guillermo with the shit talking on the Cowgirls. All right. All right, Frankie, Juwan Jennings. I would like to I'll hold his beer. I'll go get him a beer. I'll pour him a drink. I'll brew him a goddamn beer. Okay. I picked this sumbitch up, started him in my double flex, and he dominated for me, won me the week. Not only that, Frankie, we're talking DFS. He won me $228 in the DFS lineup. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Guys, speaking of DFS, I gotta talk to you about a little something here, okay? I want to talk to you about our sponsor, guys. We've got an excellent sponsor for this podcast, and it's perfect for what we do. It's with Sign Up Expert and BetStamp. We've got this new partnership with these guys. Opens up an incredible opportunity for you to join some of me and Frankie's favorite sports books. Get the best odds and new user offers. Guys, use these new user offers. I did, and Jahan Jennings won me some goddamn money, man. I love it. So head over to signupexpert.com/frankly to explore a selection of sportsbooks tailored to your region, each with unique offerings. Take advantage of these new user offers, guys. Trust me, we hammer them each and every week. If you're ready to take your sports betting to the next level and show the podcast some love, I highly recommend signing up for your next sportsbook. Get in there, go for a sportsbook you don't have, make a $20 bet. Frankly, fantasy football gets a little bit of love. So help us out here, guys. Again, it's signupexpert.com/frankly. All right. Now, a couple of other takeaways here, Frankie. Some interesting things. First of all, Saquon. I mean, dude, he could be the 101 right now. If you're redrafting right now, Saquon, absolutely in that conversation, right?
No question. Not even close.
Yeah. No. Great to see Saquon just absolutely kicking ass with the loss of the receivers there. We'll talk about that in the news. Saquon's arrow is only pointing up, guys. So great job if you snagged him. Jaden Daniels, we got a rookie quarterback. Isn't it nice to see a team actually managing a rookie quarterback properly?
And you know what's weird? Is it's the Washington Commanders, who is literally devastating or was demolishing rookie quarterbacks. Say prayers for Sam Howell and others, right? So yeah, John, it is. And it's so fun. It's so fun, right?
They're starting to unleash him a little bit. They're starting to let him throw down the field. It was really nice. They very conservative, run the ball, do these things, protect your rookie quarterback until he's comfortable. I think he's getting comfortable, man. He's starting to unleash a little bit, and it's really nice to see. I love it. Red Rifle. All right, here you go. Hold my beer for the week, man. Red Rifle in Carolina. Frankie, talk to me a little bit about the Red Rifle. I mean, what a turn of events in Carolina. Lay it out just briefly, please.
Here's what people need to understand. He has this, nothing has changed. He has the same exact cast as what Bryce Young had. That's the difference here, guys. Same offensive line, same receiving core, same running back, same defense, everything. And you know what? John, I need to walk back in week 2, heading into week 2, I was dogging the shit out of the Carolina Panthers offensive line. And here's what I want to apologize for. I'm not an apologist, but I will apologize. I went back and looked at the tape, and come to my surprise, they actually were fucking holding up. And the more and more I started looking at the tape, it really did look like a Bryce Young issue. And I think that Bryce Young is going to be better elsewhere. Look at Malik Willis. Look at some of these other guys that get another shot in another town. Look at Andy Dalton, for example, here in Carolina, getting another shot, right? What's interesting to me, man, is this is what happens when you put in a veteran, right? And I'm not saying every veteran is going to come out and throw for 300 yards, though. Andy Dalton in both his back-to-back starts, right? This past week and then last year, I believe it was the last week, he had over 300 yards in both weeks. But what this does, John, is it showcases maybe Tom Brady actually is in the know and actually does understand a little bit of what he's talking about, meaning you need to let these rookie quarterbacks, for the most part, develop. Sure, there's going to be cases to where you see a Jaden Daniels or you see a CJ Stroud going nuts. Outside of this past week, man, Caleb Williams has really struggled, right? Outside of this past week, you've seen Bryce Young, when he's been playing, has really struggled. And a lot of these other rookie quarterbacks that come into the fold really, really struggle or not really pan out. Josh Rosen, Sam Darnold until now, so on and so forth. And so what this tells me, man, is there is a huge market right now for veteran quarterbacks to either be a significant backup or can actually lead a team to win big games. And I'm calling the Vegas game a big game. Because to me, man, that could be a culture turning point for the Panthers. Do I think that they're talented enough to do anything serious? No. Do I think that they're good enough, though, to be over a 6-7 win team now? Maybe. I mean, they're not playing.
And more importantly, can they provide us some fantasy goddamn value?
Exactly.
The answer now is yes. It seems so.
Diontae Johnson.
Yes. It's not a yes. It's a yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. Fire up Diontae. We'll talk about that in a second. Hold your beer.
Yes.
By the way, guys, one other thing, John. Nectar of the Gods. I have to bring that up for a second. When you say hold my beer, do you want to talk a little bit about Nectar of the Gods? Wasn't that something that You used to brew your own beer and you printed out the labels and everything like that. Like just a sidebar for a second. Entertain
Listen,
us.
I'm a passion project guy as I'm doing a podcast with my cousin about fantasy football. One of my past projects and passion projects was brewing beer back when that was really popular. And I created my own brand called Nectar of the Gods. And it was all named after different gods. I find all that shit very fascinating. Greek and Roman and Egyptian and Sumerian. I love all that shit. So yeah, man, it was fun.
It had some good IPAs. That's what I remember, baby.
Ooh, baby. They were like 10%. I mean, it was like, and they were just like, did you brew this in your sink? Like, is that a sock in there? What the? It was fun, man. Speaking of Andy Dalton, by the way, quarterback prior to Monday, because Joe Burrow destroyed this stat, but prior to Monday, the only quarterback in the NFL to have over 300 passing yards and 3 touchdowns was Andy Dalton. That's just wild, man.
I mean,
and this is week 3. Yeah. Up until Monday night of week 3, there wasn't anyone who had that. All right, let's get to a couple other takeaways here. Rashee Rice, just absolutely incredible, man.
Amazing.
I mean, we were high on him prior to the season, and he's just proving it each and every week. He is the man for Patrick Mahomes. 14 targets, Frankie. Wide receiver 4 in the season. Caleb Williams. Talk to me a little bit about that. All right. We talked about the Carolina situation. Caleb Williams. Okay. Looking better. Is there hope there? Are we feeling better?
There is. There's hope there. I mean, this dude, I think, whether people want to admit it or not, John, I think coming into the league, I think he even thought a little bit he was going to be able to tear it up. He sent the text message to the punter saying you're not going to need to punt for a while. And then, we saw what happened the first 2 weeks. He was punting quite a bit. But John, I think he's definitely going to get better. I mean, for any quarterback, let alone a rookie, to throw for 360 some yards in a week is incredible, even without his number 2 option with Keenan Allen being out. I mean, yeah, dude, the arrow's definitely pointing up. Got to continue to get him confidence. Got to continue to show out, ball out, draw up correct plays that make him feel comfortable and cozy. But overall, man, love what I saw from week 3, Caleb Williams.
And not just that, it's nice to see Rome Odunze.
Huge.
Rome Odunze had a great game. As long as Keenan Allen, if all 3 of these receivers are available, it's going to be impossible to predict. Yeah, I mean, you're just putting out a lottery ticket at that point. But if DJ Moore and or Keenan Allen are not in there, Rome Odunze looks great. And he's got a good connection. So that's fantastic to see, man. All right, Frankie. And let's go a little Upset City. Okay. We're not done with Upset City. Okay. We thought we went there last week and it was just a nice little, you drive by and go, oh, it's nice here. Yeah. It's not very upsetting. Then you come to week 3 and you're like, oh, fuck, we're going back to Upset City. I'm supposed to get off this bus, but I guess I'm going back. Upset City, baby. Denver at Tampa Bay, Carolina at Vegas. Vegas, who just upset the Ravens the week before. It's crazy. And then the Giants at Cleveland. I mean, these are teams that looked like absolute dog shit coming in, go on the road and beat the shit out of decent teams. Super shocking.
Crazy, John. I'll throw one more in there. And yeah, I'm going to say it was really shocking, Upset City a little bit, even though the line might have showed a little bit different. It wasn't that big of an upset. I'm looking at it as it is. Houston got their shit pumped by the Minnesota Vikings, not just beat, got pumped. And I'm telling you, Joe Mixon is not making up 4 touchdowns. Okay. So they got pumped. Even, I get Joe Mixon was out. That wasn't the reason. So for me, man, that was even incredible as well.
We saw teams pull their starting quarterbacks in week 3 because they were getting beat. So, I mean,
Trevor Lawrence should have been pulled. He was pulled, John.
He was. Yeah.
He was
Trevor
pulled,
Lawrence was pulled.
Yeah. Crazy, man.
Unbelievable, man. All right, let's get to the news, baby. News and notes. Okay. A little bit of news. It's not as much of a bloodbath as it was. Thank God. I'm watching the games on Sunday just going, oh, please, God, be careful. We did have some, though. Austin Eckler left the game with a concussion. The dude was playing well, too. He was having a really good game, just in the passing game, in the rushing game. He left the game with a concussion. He's going to miss a little bit of time. Keep an eye on that. The Raiders, no quarterback controversy yet. The word yet is in there, though. But they are sticking with Gardner Minshew for the time being. So interesting turn of events there. CMC. Let's talk a little about Christian McCaffrey. Frankie, he's going overseas here. What are you hearing on the inside there with CMC?
John, he's going to Germany to see an Achilles specialist, man. This isn't good, guys. For those of you who have CMC owners, buckle up. Just buckle up, because the reality of this is that he's going to be out regardless until week 9. Week 9, the reason that I'm saying that date is because that is their bye week, that particular week there. So maybe he comes back following, maybe he doesn't. Maybe they wait and see if there's a playoff push that occurs, whatever that may be. But I'm just saying, it is not good when you have a superstar running back going to a different country to see a specialist on a ligament like a Achilles. It is not good news by any means. Get cozy with Jordan Mason.
Yeah, I agree 100%, man. Okay, so T. Higgins was back on the field. Nice to see him there. Evan Engram missed his second straight game with a hamstring. This is going to linger for a while, so keep an eye on him, guys, later in the week. See if he practices. But hamstring injuries, they drive me crazy. Trey McBride, tight end for the Arizona Cardinals, in concussion protocol, likely to miss. Keep an eye on that as well. Cooper Kupp, they already ruled him out for week 4. He'll be out for a little longer than that, but it's good to hear them rule him out already. Adam Thielen, the old man, going to miss some time with a hamstring injury. They did put him on the IR. So we're going to talk about some of the effects of that, I believe, a little bit later here. So I won't go into too much detail now. Justin Herbert, x-rays on his ankle. He left the game with ankle injury. X-rays were negative. He was hobbled on it all week, tried to play through it, wasn't able to. Listen, man, this team is, this is tough right now. It's really difficult. You're going to have to hold Lab McConkey. You're going to have to hold Quentin Johnson. They've got a bye week, I think, after this week. So if you feel like you need to drop McConkey or you need to drop Quentin Johnston or Justin Herbert for that matter and look at somebody else on the waiver wire, feel free to do that, guys, because I just don't think you're going to be able to start hardly anybody on this team. Maybe a J.K. Dobbins just because of the volume, but the entire passing offense is on hold for the moment, and then they're going to have a bye. So do with that as you will. Look at your roster construction and see what you need there. But if you need to free some stuff up, I think the Chargers will give you a little option for that. Sam Laporta, very disappointing year so far for Sam Laporta, man. He's basically been non-existent. Left the game, ankle. He's got a low ankle sprain. So low ankle, that's a good thing of the ankle sprains. High ankle, bad. Low ankle, good. So low ankle sprain, typically it's 2 to 3 weeks, but pay attention to that. We'll get some news on it as soon as we get it. Devonta Smith, man, wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know if you saw this hit live, but dude, I had to rewind it like 3 times to watch it again. It was dirty as hell. First of all, that player I don't know if he got fined, but he absolutely should be fined. And Devonta Smith is small. He's a little guy, man. I mean, when I saw him get crushed, I was like, Jesus Christ. Out with concussion. He may be out for a little while, so pay attention to that. Major implications here with this passing offense, man. You got A.J. Brown, got to have to monitor him with a hamstring. He even said himself it's going to be a couple of weeks for that. Now Devonta Smith certainly going to miss this week, maybe another week after that. So keep an eye on that. A lot of shakeups there. We'll talk about that as well with the Philadelphia pass game. Last piece of notes here, we've got Najee Harris. Left the game, or he didn't leave the game, but at the end of the game, his arm was in a sling. Apparently, they're coming out saying he's going to be fine. Jaylen Warren, however, is week to week, so it could be just Najee this week. If that's the case, fire him up everywhere. You got to love that. All right, Frankie, what do you feel about giving us a little rundown and preview of Thursday Night Football? Oh, I'm so happy Thursday Night Football is coming up. All right, what do we got, Frankie?
John, first things first, we're going to talk some fantasy football here before we dive into maybe a little bet here and there. But John, first and foremost, we're looking at the Cowboys, who are 1-2 at MetLife, playing against the Giants, who are also 1-2. Guys, this is pretty easy from a fantasy perspective. And I'll tell you why. If you got Dak, you're firing up Dak. You got CeeDee Lamb, you're not thinking twice about it. Here's where it gets a little bit more interesting from a Cowboy side of things. John, I think moving forward, I have no reservation whatsoever in locking in Ferguson, not even streaming another tight end. As long as he's healthy, I think that he gives enough ceiling and enough play and has enough target share for the most part, to be consistently in a tight end 8, 7, 9 type of role. Again, that's a tight end 1. You're happy with that. And so for me, man, I'm firing up Ferguson and I'm loving every bit about it. And the reason being is because of his target share last week, John. He had 11 targets. He had 6 receptions, 95 yards against the Ravens stout defense. So when we're looking at the Giants, man, I'm salivating if I have Ferguson. This could be a perfect matchup for him. Now, where I struggle a little bit is the Dallas Cowboys backfield, man. I have no idea what to even think about this Dallas Cowboys defense. I can tell you from Zeke's perspective, right? He had a limited role. He only had 3 carries last week. He had 1 reception, totally not normal for Zeke, especially in the reception and target perspective. And then you have Rico Dowdle, who had 8 rushes, 32 yards, 3 receptions on 5 targets for 24 yards. John, he took over what Zeke's role was more of the pass catching. So for me, man, I don't think Dallas knows what they want to do. I think Dallas is kind of miserable right now. They're looking at a 1-2 start, and they're not really happy with how things have transpired. So for me, man, if I had my choice between the two of them, and you might need to because of running back injuries, like a CMC, like others that we had mentioned, I would be leaning Dowdle. Well, I'm curious, what would you think in that situation if you had Zeke and Dowdle and you had to make a play for one?
I mean, based on what we saw this past week, I don't know if there was something going on with Zeke physically. I didn't see anything. I looked for it. Zeke had 19% snap count.
Yeah.
That's it. 3 attempts, So yeah, I don't know. It didn't seem that something physically was happening with him. They could just be shifting. I mean, Zeke, come on, it's Zeke. He still can't have it, I mean, Dowdle's a much, much younger player. I'm going with Dowdle. If you need to plug in a running back 2, or you need somebody in your flex and you're desperate because of some injuries, absolutely. I think it's going to be Dowdle just based on the sheer volume that he's getting right now. He had 40% snap count.
Yeah.
I mean, he doubled Zeke's time on the field. So I'm going to go with the guy who's on the field for an offense that can score.
Totally agree, man. John, we're talking now Giants side. I think it's pretty easy. You got Malik Nabers, you're firing him up. It's not even a thought, right? You're going with it. But here's what I'm saying, man. I'm firing up Devin Singletary as well. Like, I don't think that this is something you guys really need to think about. As crazy as that sounds, in an RB2 situation, he's not your RB1, he's an RB2. But here's why. It's not because of his rushing capability. He showed a couple breakaway rushes against the Browns. Then he had a 143-yard scamper down the field. Really nice, but nothing crazy, man. For me, it's his pass catching, right? He's getting targeted 4-5 times a game. He's getting between 3 and 4 receptions on average a game at this point in time. So for me, man, I'm really digging like this capability. And then you start thinking about, okay, well, would that play out how it did with the Browns? For me, the answer is hell yeah. When you're looking across and seeing Micah Parsons salivating coming after you, when you're looking at some of these other guys, Lawrence and a few others, and even their linebacking core that is going to be blitzing and things like that, you need a quick pop. You need to get the ball out very fast, and that's where Devin Singletary is really coming into form and getting some fantasy points in PPR. So for me, man, yes, it's a riskiest start, but I'm firing up Devin Singletary and Malik Nabers as the 2 people from the Giants.
I don't think it's that risky, man. I really don't. I mean, looking into Devin Singletary, he's kind of the ultimate running back 2. He's right there with Brian Robinson. They're very similar to me right now in just the way that they're playing. I think they're both solid RB2s. Past 2 weeks, he's had 16 rushing attempts and a touchdown in each game. And yes, his targets are going up. 4 catches on 4 targets last week. This Dallas defense, yes, it's good. And you look at it and it's scary and it's not. This is a new season. This is all new trends and things that we're looking at. This year, you can run on this Dallas defense. You absolutely can run on this Dallas defense. So I do think Devin Singletary is a great play this week. Definitely. I love it.
Well, John, we always got to do this for Thursday night, right? We got to frank it up a little bit, baby. Hit that shit.
You got to frank it up.
Frank it up. Crank it up. Yeah.
John, before we frank it up, before we get into this a little bit, guys, just a reminder, as John mentioned earlier, you're looking to place a little prop bet, we might got a little bit of something for you. We're thrilled to announce our partnership with that of Betstamp and Sign Up Expert, opening up incredible opportunities for you to join some of our favorite sports books, getting the best odds out there. How does it work? What does it mean? Head over to our dedicated page at signupexpert.com/frankly to explore a selection of sports books tailored to your region, each with unique offerings. Put in $20, you get a bonus bet associated with it. And if it hits, awesome, you get a little bit. If not, you get a bonus bet kickback, guys. It's great. It really is a no-risk thing. So if you're looking to take your sports betting to the next level, like Johnny and I, like many others out there that are signing up with Frankly, check it out. Signupexpert.com/frankly. We got you covered. With that being said, let's use that bet stamp and that Sign Up Expert, and let's talk about what is something that is of interest. Guys, I'll be the first one to say, it hasn't been pretty the last few weeks. We hit gold with Saquon week 1. We ended up almost hitting that of Miami, that over game when it was 31-10, John, in the third quarter with 10 minutes left. We're sitting there. We got it. Tua goes out. All hell breaks loose. So that was rough. And this past week, boys, hey, Pat's got shit on. I don't know what to tell you. It was a rough one. So we're here to bring it back. We're here to come back. And John, right now, Dallas is -5.5. The over-under is 43.5. So what am I looking at? John, I'm going to go towards a prop bet this week. I'm actually leaning towards Devin Singletary over 2.5 receptions. These are not great odds. I want to be crystal clear when I say that. The odds for a 2.5 reception right now is anywhere between -150 and -160. So again, what that means in layman terms is you need to put in $150 to win 100, right? Not great odds. But where this does come into play is if you're looking to build a parlay from it. So guys, if you want to put in that +2.5, or maybe you can tease it down by that half point, get it down to over 2 receptions, and then you layer on, maybe it's an anytime touchdown. Maybe it's Dak Prescott over passing yard because he seems to be throwing the ball quite often. Whatever that may be, you can look to parlay that bet into that parlay. So for me, I'm really digging the over receptions for Devin Singletary. Again, as I say every week, it might not hit. But here's the thing. I like what his ability is from the backfield setting. So for me, man, I'm going into that looking for Devin Singletary to get some receptions, Sean.
Hey, I'm with you, brother. No matter what, I'm with you on these bets, even though we got killed last week. I'm with you, man. If this is to end in fire, then we shall all burn together. Let's go. Get your bets in, guys. Let's do it. Frankie, let's do some hit it and quit it, baby. Okay. All right. Frankie, what is your first hit? Who is your first start of the week in week 4, baby?
Yeah, baby. First start. My first hit it this week is going to be Khalil Shakir at Baltimore. Okay. So we got Khalil Shakir in half PPR, guys. He only has 1 game so far under double digits in fantasy points. And it was only 8 point something. So still very respectable. He seems to be rising as Josh Allen's number 1 receiver. He had 16 points in a half PPR against that of the Jags, led the team in receiving from that standpoint from a receiver side. So for me, man, I loved Khalil Shakir. Arrows pointing straight up as a guy that Josh Allen can rely on. I'm hitting him this week, week 4.
I love it, man. I mean, if Josh Allen continues what he just did, holy shit, man. Yeah, I mean, you have to draft everybody on that team. You need to be looking at starting all of those guys at some point. Yeah, crazy, man. You get a touchdown and you get a touchdown. All right, let's go with my first hit it of the week. My first start of the week. It's going to be Brian Robinson Jr. of the Washington Commanders, running back. They're at Arizona this week. Arizona, we know you can run on Arizona. This is a very giving defense when it comes to running backs. Let's just say that. One of the main reasons I love him this week, he's already a guy that I do love putting in your flex or your RB2. Again, he's one of those just like a Devin Singletary. He's an excellent RB2 for you, solid floor for your team. This week, he's got no Austin Eckler. Austin Eckler is very highly likely to miss this week. He's alone in that backfield. I love those prospects. You've seen Jaden Daniels coming into his own a little bit, opening things up a tad. The threat of a running QB always helps a running back. always helps a running back. So really looking forward to that. He's had double digits each week. All 3 weeks he's had double digits. You got to love that. I mean, he's just been absolutely consistent. Not a huge ceiling for him. Maybe he can drop into the end zone a couple of times for you, but not a giant ceiling for the guy. This isn't a Saquon play by any means. Doesn't do a whole lot in the passing game. But with Eckler out, he may get a few more targets out of the backfield, and he's just going to have pure volume, baby. Fire up Brian Robinson.
For what it's worth, guys, listening and viewing, that was my number one hit it as well. So good for you. I'm happy for you.
Frankie and I fight over it when we do our prep. We have a shared document. We go in and update stuff and I hurry up and go in and put mine in because Frankie got me last week. You got me too early last week. So I went in early this morning, put him in. So, yeah.
Well done. It's okay because my number 2 hit it is going to knock it out of the park. I'm going with Kyler Murray versus Washington. Teams have been able to score against the Washington defense. There's no shocker there. Washington's offense has had to make up for the defense there. And knowing how Washington's offense is putting up points, right? This could and very well should be a shootout, very similar to that of the Bengals and what we saw on Monday night against that of Washington. So for me, man, when looking at Kyler and what he's done historically, John, I mean, week 1 was a little bit tough, right? He had 11 points against that of Buffalo's defense, which is actually panning out to be a damn good defense. But week 2, I mean, against the Rams, John, he ended up having 34 fantasy points, went absolutely crazy with 3 passing touchdowns, 266 passing yards, 59 rushing yards as well. And even against a good defense with that of Detroit last week, John, still threw for a passing touchdown, over 200 yards passing, and had 45 rushing yards. So for me, man, the rushing is there. Marvin Harrison Jr. and him are really connecting. So for me, fire up Kyler Murray. Enjoy quarterback 6 on the week.
Love it, man. All right, I'm going to go with my second hit it. This one's not a lot of data to back this up. This one is just, it's a feeling, it's opportunity, it's next man up, but it's something that has to be said here. I'm going to go with Jahan Dotson, the newly acquired wide receiver from the Eagles. Only been on the team for a couple of weeks here. But Jahan Dotson with the Philadelphia Eagles at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa just got their shit pushed. They're going to be pissed. But Jahan Dotson, it's really just because you're looking at probably no A.J. Brown, almost definitely no Devonta Smith. You got Jahan Dotson and Dallas Goedert running routes out there. They're going to have to implement. I know Dallas Goedert was the beneficiary. He was the guy in the middle of the field this past week. Defenses are not going to let that happen. When you're talking about the number 1, the guy who's going to be in that X role on the offense for Jalen Hurts, it's going to be Jahan Dotson. So I think even if he struggles, he's going to volume his way into a decent flex game for you, I think, either way. So start Jahan Dotson, baby.
Love it, man. My third hit it, guys, is going to be Aaron Jones playing at Green Bay. This is the revenge game, baby. He had revenge, man. He had 19 rushes, over 100 yards this past week, caught 5 passes for 46 yards. Big bounce back week. And what was even more interesting is Ty Chandler was pretty much abysmal, did nothing. So again, Aaron Jones reclaiming that running back room throne. And again, when we're looking at Green Bay, not only is it a divisional game, but anytime that a player is playing against his old team, there is feelings being involved. There is maybe a little bit of hatred, maybe a little bit of love, maybe a little bit of fuck you a part of this. And John, I'm telling you, man, Aaron Jones, if you guys are in 10-man leagues, this would be the week I'm firing him up.
All right. My third and final hit it this week is a guy we talked a little bit about. Yeah, I'm going out there. I'm going to go out on that limb. I am. I'm going to go out there on that skinny little limb and I'm going to stand there with confidence and say, I don't care. This is what we're doing. Diontae goddamn Johnson of the Carolina Panthers. Yeah. The Red Rifle brought him back, revived him, just got him on the ground and just doing one of these, trying to get him to breathe again. He's breathing, man. 14 targets from Diontae Johnson. This is like when he was with the Steelers, man. He's a target goddamn monster. I'm going to take advantage. He's clearly the one on this team. He's clearly the favorite target of Andy Dalton, who obviously is the best quarterback in the NFL based 100%. On what we saw. Of course. So you've got the best quarterback in the NFL through football studio. I'm starting you, man. But no, I for real though, you didn't draft this guy to play him at all anyway. This is a flex play. And I think 100%, if you don't start Diontae Johnson this week against the Bengals, why is he on your roster? This is exactly what we have him for. Changing quarterback, sure, things may even out over time as defenses get hip to it. I don't know what you have to get hip to. Andy Dalton's been in the league for fucking 20 years, it feels like.
Forever.
So you probably should know Andy Dalton by now, guys. But bottom line is he's going to get the volume. You've got Adam Thielen that's out. He's on IR. So I'm not worried about Xavier Leggett taking all the targets here. I think it is going to be a Diontae Johnson game. Fire him up, baby. Fire him up or drop him, okay? That's all I got to say. You start him this week or drop him because I'm sick of it.
Put your money where your mouth is, all right?
That's right. Get your shit together, fantasy owners. All right, Frank, who are you going to quit this week? Who do we not like?
Yeah, man. John, one guy that I am quitting for damn sure this week is going to be Gus Edwards. Gus Bus. Guys, they're playing Kansas City. And on top of that, Kansas City has done a very good job, actually to the point to where, just to give you some insight as to how good Kansas City's defense has been, they held Bijan Robinson, okay, to roughly about just over 30 yards rushing on 16 attempts. That's a problem. That's a problem. That's a good defense. Chris Jones is doing something on the inside with True Tranquil and Nick Bolton, man. They're scary defense, right? On top of that, man, it's JK's job. We've seen what has happened since the emergence of JK. And even though the game plan didn't work out when they were playing the Steelers last week, John, it didn't matter. He had 3 carries, and I get it. Yeah, it was a bad game script, all that stuff. Well, JK more than doubled that. Okay, and this is after we just talked about Gus Bus having 18 carries in week 2. To go from 18 carries to 3 is not just a game script thing. That is, hey, we're riding with the hot hand. And so with all of that being said, unfortunately, John, today, for those of you who have Gus Bus, look elsewhere.
Couldn't agree more, man. My first quit it. This guy, I do not think he should play this week. And I know it's hard to not put him in your lineup. I know it's hard. None of us have a lot of running backs on our teams. I get it. But what we're saying is temper your expectations.
Right.
If you've got a move you can make the move. Don't freak out like you have, just because you drafted these guys, you don't have to start them, guys. You can pick up a guy like last week, like Cam Akers off the waiver wire, plug him in for a guy who's having a worse week or a bad matchup and go from there. Don't feel like you have to play these guys. It's Rachaad White, running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It's not just because of last week, because last week was brutal. It's because so far in the season, what's been going on, really. Currently he's the running back 32. So he's outside of a starting running back right now. Last week, he only had 6 carries for 17 yards versus Denver.
That's crazy.
Versus Denver. Okay. He should have been a start of the week on paper. And the guy had 6 carries for 17 yards. He had 5 of 6 of his targets. Great. He had 6 targets. Wonderful. 18 yards on that. The other problem, it's not just that he's not performing right now. Bucky Irving is a problem for him. This guy is coming on. He's playing very well. He can do all of the things that Rachaad White does. So they're not really missing it, Bob, if you know what I mean. So this is becoming much more of a 50-50 split. We're going to have to monitor this, and I'm really nervous about Rachaad White. He doesn't put up the efficiency numbers and godly numbers to be able to support having somebody else in the backfield with him. Third game, averaging less than 2.9 yards a carry. That's brutal, man. 2.9 yards a carry in 3 games here.
It's a problem.
You can't start him this week. If you've got other options, please look for those. Don't start Rachaad White.
John, one of your key callouts, and I agree with you, man. Bucky Irving, you said that Rachaad White had 6 carries. For 17 yards, Bucky Irving had 9 carries for 70 yards.
Yeah.
Like, huge difference. Huge difference there, guys.
It's a problem. He's working his way into playing time, and that's going to directly affect negatively Rachaad White. It just will.
Yep. Totally agree, man. John, my number 2, quit it here. You're not going to like it. And I'm sorry, bud. I know that you love your little stack going on, but your stack, unfortunately, is not piling up to a high enough stack for what we thought it was going to be, baby. I'm talking Mark Andrews versus the Buffalo Bills. Mark Andrews was only on the field for 33% of the snaps. Now, again, Harbaugh said it was due to heavy packages, getting King Henry involved. I don't give a shit what it is. 33% is terrible. In addition, with the emergence of Likely eating into some of that target share, now granted, both of them were bad, but at least Likely had a point. He had a point last week. Mark Andrews had nothing. And on top of it, John, Buffalo D is very good. So what we're seeing is that, okay, now with Derrick Henry on the Ravens, and we're starting to see how these offenses are unfolding a bit, they're a run-first team, and it isn't even close. And then when they go to pass, it's actually Zay Flowers and maybe a little bit of Rashad Bateman, and then Justice Hill. Outside of week 1, man, yeah, Isaiah Likely went nuclear, but he has significantly regressed since week 1. And Mark Andrews is still not existent. He's not existent. And so for me, man, unfortunately, guys, I would be benching Mark Andrews and I would be looking to stream. And as soon as Mark Andrews popped off, I'm selling his ass. I'm selling his ass, pairing him up with somebody else and trying to upgrade my running back, maybe my receiver 2, or even my flex position. Because for right now, and yes, to your point, John, it is only week 3. And yeah, we are holding a beer, specifically Nectar of the Gods. But this isn't that guy. And I actually think, man, we might be seeing a changing of the guard. We mentioned it multiple times from a tight end side of things. We talked about Trey McBride. We talked about Sam Laporta, who's falling off due to injuries and things like that, and the emergence of JMO. But man, it's been really tough to see Mark Andrews kind of be, he's getting the cold shoulder a bit. So for me, man, I'm quitting Mark Andrews this week.
I'm worried about Mark Andrews.
Yeah.
I am. I drafted him. I'm not usually, drafting a tight end early. I got him at a pretty good discount. So I didn't hate it. I also drafted Lamar. It's a super flex league, wanted the stack. But yeah, I'm terrified. I'm really concerned. Yes, there's a lot of reasons for it, but the reasons, I don't see them really changing. They're running 12 and 13 personnel, which is going to take Andrews off the field, double tight ends, that block. Andrews doesn't really block. That's why he's on the field for 33% of the time. That's rough, man. I mean, there's not much, if you can, like I tried to package a better receiver, taking a lesser receiver and trading Mark Andrews and Brock Bowers, trying to do a swap here. So where they know I'm getting the better deal on the tight end, but I'm giving them a better deal on the receiver. I'm trying to do something like that, especially after Brock Bowers had just kind of an okay week last week.
Yeah.
But his arrow's pointing up. I'm trying to go after him. But yeah, there's not much you can do with Mark Andrews. You kind of just have to sit there. All tight ends have been a goddamn nightmare for the most part. You've got Mark Andrews. You're really not going to probably get anything for him unless you're trying to package and upgrade your tight end like that. That's also going to be hard to do. You kind of going to have to sit there and wait and see what you can do. But yeah, it's rough, man. I'm nervous.
You can't drop him. To your point, you can't drop him because there's still too much value
you
there.
You can't trade him.
You can't trade him because you're going to lose out on a ton of value unless, to your point, you're packaging something together, things like that, which I like to do for those listening and viewing. Like that's totally a strategy I do all the time. Actually, more times than not, I actually prefer a 2-for-1, 3-for-1 than I do a 1-for-1. But for this, man, it's tough. And actually, this brings up very quickly, John, because I know we are going to get to your last quit it here. But with some of the time that we have, I mean, does this change your mindset? Like thinking seriously from a structure of a fantasy league. You and I were talking about it. We're in one right now, Battle of the Brand. Shout out to the other podcasts out there. Really fun. We're in a fantasy football league with many national podcasts. Super cool shit. And what they do that's really interesting is they don't even have a defense. They don't have a kicker. They don't even have a tight end slot. They have a quarterback. They have one running back. They have one receiver, 4 flexes, and then a super flex spot for an additional quarterback. And what's interesting is that the tight ends, in order to make tight ends draftable, right, you give them an additional point per reception. So instead of a PPR, a full point, you get 2 points per reception for a tight end. John, now that we've been in this league and now seeing the landscape, we're talking Mark Andrews shit in the bed. We're talking Travis Kelce's tight end number 1. We're talking Sam Laporta hasn't even cracked 10 points yet. Does this change your thought process? You being a commissioner for 25 years, man. Does this change your thought process on maybe changing a few things? Yeah, I showed your age a little bit. Yeah,
you did.
Sorry about that. Sorry, 10 years, guys. 10 years.
Hey, come on. You're ruining my game here. You know, I got 20-some-year-old girls all over Instagram going, I love Frankie and Johnny. Yeah, right. Like girls are watching, 20-some-year-old girls are watching our podcast, please.
Does this change?
I I love the structure. I love the way that's set up. And it is something I'm going to consider in our leagues, man, because tight ends at this point just are getting annoying. It's one other thing I have to do. I've got 4 or 5 leagues. I got to stream goddamn tight end in every one of those leagues, or I stare at Mark Andrews. It's just a nightmare, man. But yeah, I really like what they did there. And that way, if you don't want to draft a tight end, you don't have to draft a tight end. But there are a handful of tight ends that do get played like receivers.
Big time.
That if they're getting double receptions, it's nice.
Mike
It's really nice.
Mike Gesicki is one of them. Another one, right? Like, because again, he gets 4 catches. That ain't 4 yards. We're talking, or 4 points. That's 8 points plus his yardage. So now he actually is flex worthy. So just be thinking about it, viewers and listeners and people that are tuning in. Think about it for next year. It's a really fun thought to chew on a bit. But anyways, I'm quitting the fuck out of Mark Andrews.
All right, my last quitted here. It hurts me because he was the start of the week I had, but I told you what was going to happen here, and it was all up to him. And I'm sorry, you failed me, buddy. I'm talking about Anthony Richardson, quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts. I live in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Believe me, Colts are my second team besides the Browns, and he's hurting my soul right now. They got the dub, but it was an ugly dub. Okay, Anthony Richardson this week at home versus Pittsburgh. Not good, man. No bueno. TJ Watt is just otherworldly and is hands down defensive player of the year right now as things stand. Not even close. Anthony Richardson. All right. We talked about it, guys. I said, if this trend continues, it is going to be a problem. And I know 1 week doesn't make a trend, but 2 weeks is starting to string together a couple of these games here. He was 10 for 20, 50%. Solid. What did I say? He was 47% passer completion percentage. And I said, if this continues, it's going to be an issue. It was an issue. 10 for 20, 167 yards passing and 2 picks, man. All right. Well, it's okay. It's Anthony Richardson. He'll put these lines out. Obviously, he ran for what, 85 and a touchdown probably. Yeah. No, he didn't, man. He had 8 rushes for 24 yards. He killed you this week, guys. It's tough. And playing against this Pittsburgh defense, I've got him in a super flex league. I am going to stream quarterback. I'm going to look for other options. If you got Sam Darnold sitting out there, you got fucking Andy Dalton sitting out there, Malik Willis. How about this, the resurgence of this guy in Green Bay? I mean, absolutely crazy. He actually looks good, not just serviceable, good. Stream quarterbacks, guys. I don't like it. And actually, I think what I'm going to do for my quit-its is I'm going to pick somebody on my team, because the way the NFL's been, that guy's going to fucking blow up and score 5 touchdowns. So I'm going to put somebody on my team as my quit-it. So therefore, the gods go, oh, we're going to make Johnny wrong. Yeah, but I'm tricking the gods because they're on my team, right?
Get them, John. You get them. You trick them.
That's right. Those fantasy gods. You can't get me, guys. No way. But yeah, Anthony Richardson, I really think you need to look elsewhere. You can put him out there, but it's Pittsburgh's defense, man. I mean, if he's only getting 160 yards, 67 yards passing and 2 picks, in last week's game, it's going to be rough against this Pittsburgh defense. Move on. All right, that is the show for the day. Thank you so much for joining us, everybody. Hope you're getting everything ready for week 4. Get on those waiver wires. Start throwing out some trade offers. Now's that time, guys. Start feeling out those trades. See what things look like. Look at your competitors' teams, league mates. See who's missing a running back. See who's missing a receiver. Make some offers. Look at where your strengths are. What do you have an abundance of? Don't kill your depth, but take advantage of your depth for sure. Make some trades and have a good time this week. Frankie, what do we have coming up, man?
Guys, don't forget, every Friday, we're going to have Fridays with Frankie. So tune in. We're going to be dropping that. I'm going to give you 5 things you need to know before the weekend. For those that are just listening and not seeing our faces, Johnny's laughing because I kind of did the smooth coming.
Is that what you think smooth is?
I don't know. I guess that wasn't a good description either. A smooth coming. That could be, that's just not. It was
That's what happens in Johnny's house on the weekends.
It was and we're going to do Fridays with Frankie. And then, guys, just one other call out. Be ready in thinking about bye weeks. Okay, so I know we have our Fridays with Frankie that I mentioned, as well as our another week 5 episode dropping on next Tuesday. But guys, be thinking of the week 5 bye week. If you start seeing that you have both of your starting running backs out, please be attacking that waiver wire this week in preparation for that week 5 bye. Don't wait for the week 5 to be stressing out and seeing all of your team and your entire league going bonkers on the waiver wire and you get outvoted, or your priority changes, or you didn't put enough bid in, whatever your waiver system is. So keep that in mind. Week 5 buys are coming up. Fridays with Frankie are going to hit you in the face, and then we got week 5 episode next week on Tuesday.
Let's go. Episodes every Wednesday, guys. We got our starts and sits and news and notes. Fridays with Frankie to tell you what the hell you need to know for the weekend. Let's do this, guys. I love it. Don't forget, follow us on social media, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Frankly Fantasy Football, YouTube, Frankly Fantasy Football, and X, Frankly Fantasy app. Join the fun, guys. Let's have a great time. Good luck to you all in week 4. Let's have a great week, everybody. May the fantasy gods smile upon you. Bye.